The Lazy Prince. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Doran. He is known today as the Lazy Prince. He was once called the Prince of High Potential. He called his parents the checklist father and the workless mother. In their place were Leontes and Queen Verelda, but he never really met them. Prince Doran. Perfection is not something we do, it's a starting point. I have planned out the next 10 years for you. That way you don't waste your imagination, thanks to your active father. Your Majesty. Your childhood was a way of checking off tasks. Applause replaced love. Gold stars came easier than hugs. If you lived up to their expectations, they would love you and do as you please. So he tried. Doran had no friends. He had teachers. He didn't play. He acted. And the better he got, the more he felt watched. Then one day, he stopped. Stopped trying. Stopped acting, and no one noticed. Until he disappeared behind that silence. Maybe I was getting lazier, but that's it. He grew up to be the man we know as the Lazy Prince. They said he was lazy. What they didn't see was the weight he carried, almost breaking his bones. In his breath, he was anxious. Prince, the war budget is waiting for your approval. It's been 3 months, hasn't it? Time flies when you sleep. The kingdom needs a leader. The kingdom also needs rest. The palace is a dynasty, not a carpet. Get up. But my mother and this chair are connected. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Doran. Today, he's known as the Lazy Prince, but that wasn't always his name. He was once called the Prince of High Potential. He had parents, though he never really knew them. To him, they were the checklist father and the workless mother. In their place stood King Leontes and Queen Verelda, figures of authority, not affection. He never felt like he actually met them as parents. I remember my father's words echoing in the vast halls of the palace. Prince Doran. Perfection is not something we strive for, it is our starting point. I have planned the next 10 years for you. This way you will not waste your precious imagination on frivolous things. I would reply, thank you, my active father. Your Majesty. My childhood wasn't a time of play and discovery, it was a series of tasks to be checked off a list. Applause became the substitute for love. Gold stars were handed out more freely than hugs. The unspoken rule was clear. If I lived up to their towering expectations, they would love me. They would grant my wishes. And so, I tried. I tried with everything I had, but this path was a lonely one. Doran had no friends, only teachers. He didn't play, he performed. And the better he got at performing, the more he felt seen, or at least noticed. The pressure mounted, each achievement raising the bar higher. The weight of perfection was a crown far heavier than any made of gold. He was a prodigy, a marvel, the kingdom's pride. But inside he was just a boy, yearning for a simple, unconditional embrace. Then one day, something inside him just snapped. He stopped. He stopped trying. He stopped performing. He let the carefully constructed facade crumble, and for a while, no one even noticed. He faded into the silence, a ghost in his own life until his absence from the stage of perfection became too loud to ignore. Maybe I was just getting lazy, I thought, but it was more than that. It was a silent rebellion, a desperate plea for a different kind of life. And so, he grew up to be the man we know today, the Lazy Prince. Everyone in the kingdom whispered about his idleness, his apathy. They called him lazy. But what they didn't see, what no one saw, was the invisible weight he carried. A weight so heavy it felt like it could break his bones. With every breath he took, a quiet anxiety hummed just beneath the surface. He wasn't lazy, he was exhausted. Exhausted from a lifetime of trying to earn a love that should have been given freely. Picture this scene. The royal chamber. Sunlight streaming through the arched windows, dust motes dancing in the golden shafts of light. The prince is slumped in his grand ornate chair, looking more like a part of the furniture than the heir to the throne. A courtier, a man with a perpetually furrowed brow, stands before him, clutching a scroll. The war budget is waiting for your approval. Doran stirs, blinking slowly as if waking from a long dream. He offers a faint wry smile. Has it been 3 months already? Time certainly flies when you're sleeping. The courtier's face hardens. Your Highness, the kingdom needs a leader. Doran sighs, a long, weary sound that seems to carry the weight of the whole palace. And the kingdom needs rest too, don't you think? He gestures vaguely around the room. The palace is part of a dynasty, my friend, not a treadmill we must constantly run on. The courtier's patience finally snaps. Get up, he commands, his voice echoing in the chamber. Doran just sinks deeper into his chair, a mischievous glint in his tired eyes. I would, he says, his voice a low murmur. But you see, my mother always said this chair and I are practically attached at the hip. It would be rude to separate us now, wouldn't it? This was his new performance, the role of the Lazy Prince. It was his shield, his fortress of solitude. He learned that if he did nothing, he could fail at nothing. If he expected nothing, he could not be disappointed. His laziness was a carefully crafted defense mechanism, a wall built brick by brick with every unmet expectation, every conditional "I love you." But underneath it all, the boy who just wanted a hug was still there. He was buried deep beneath layers of apathy and sarcasm. He was the ghost in the machine, the silent observer of his own unraveling. The kingdom saw a lazy prince, a failure, a disappointment. They did unsee the little boy who had tried so hard to be perfect that he simply broke. They did unsee the young man who was so terrified of failing again that he chose not to try at all. His throne wasn't a seat of power, it was a safe haven. The sleep he so readily embraced wasn't just rest, it was an escape. An escape from the checklists, the expectations, and the deafening applause that always sounded so much like silence. And as the kingdom grew more and more desperate for a leader, the lazy prince just pulled his blanket of indifference a little tighter and dreamed of a world where he could just be Doran, no titles attached. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, lived a boy named Doran. You might know him as the lazy prince, but he wasn't always called that. No, once he was hailed as the prince of high potential, he had special names for his parents too. He called them the checklist father and the worklist mother. To the rest of the kingdom, they were King Leontes and Queen Verelda. But to Doran, they were just concepts. He never felt like he truly met them. Prince Doran, perfection is not something we strive for. It is our starting point, his father would declare. I have planned the next 10 years of your life for you. That way you will not waste your precious imagination. Thank you, my active father Doran, would reply mechanically. I mean, Your Majesty? His childhood was a series of tasks to be checked off a list. Applause became the currency of affection, far more common than love. Gold stars were handed out more freely than hugs. The unspoken rule was simple. Live up to their monumental expectations and you will earn their love. You will get what you want. And so, he tried. He tried so hard. Doran had no real friends, only a string of tutors and instructors. He didn't play. He performed. And the better he became at this performance, the more he felt seen, noticed, but it was a fragile, hollow feeling. Then one day he just stopped. He stopped trying. He stopped performing. He stopped chasing the phantom of his parents' approval. And the strangest part? No one seemed to notice. Not right away. He simply faded into the silence, disappearing from the grand stage they had built for him. Maybe he was becoming lazy, or maybe he was just tired. That was the moment the boy once called the Prince of High Potential began his transformation into the man we now know as the Lazy Prince. They called him lazy. They whispered it in the halls. They wrote it in the history books. What they didn't see was the invisible weight he carried, a burden so heavy it felt like it was crushing his very bones. In every shallow breath he took, there was a quiet, suffocating anxiety. Prince, a royal advisor would plead, his voice tight with urgency. The war budget is waiting for your approval. Doran would stir from his throne, a soft sigh escaping his lips. It's been 3 months already, hasn't it? Time really flies when you're napping. The kingdom needs a leader, Your Highness. The kingdom, Doran would muse, sinking deeper into his chair, needs a good rest, too. The palace is a dynasty, not a daycare. Get up, but Doran would just smile faintly. My mother always said this chair and I are connected. It would be rude to separate us. The truth is, Doran wasn't born lazy. He was made that way. His parents had created a machine designed for perfection, but they forgot one crucial component, a heart. They taught him how to achieve, but not how to live. How to be a prince, but not how to be a person. He learned every subject, mastered every skill, and memorized every protocol. He could debate philosophy with the kingdom's greatest scholars and strategize with its most seasoned generals. But ask him what brought him joy, and he would draw a blank. His world was a gilded cage, beautiful on the outside, but empty within. The applause he received was for the character he played, not the boy who was lost inside. So he rebelled. Not with swords or speeches, but with silence, with stillness, with an epic, kingdom-shaking laziness. It was his only way of screaming, I am here, see me. Not the perfect prince, but me. His lethargy wasn't an absence of ambition. It was a protest against an ambition that was never his own. It was a desperate attempt to find himself in the void his parents had so carefully constructed. He wasn't resting from doing nothing. He was recovering from a childhood of doing everything. Every yawn was a silent defiance. Every nap was a small act of reclamation, a moment to finally truly be himself, even if that self was exhausted and broken. The world saw a lazy prince. But if you looked closer, past the slumped shoulders and the sleepy eyes, you might have seen a boy just trying to catch his breath. A boy who had been running a race he never wanted to enter, and had finally decided to just stop. And in that stillness, he was perhaps more of a king than his father ever was, for he was finally ruling his own small, quiet kingdom himself. This story reminds us that what we see on the surface isn't always the whole truth. Sometimes, the people who seem the most checked out are the ones who are carrying the heaviest loads. It's a powerful lesson in empathy and One day, the sun wasted time. I didn't. I was enjoying it slowly. Everyone finally stopped pushing. Instead, he tired them out, and that's when she showed up. No fans, just honest. You're a prince. You look lazy, but you dress like that. And you're a kralada, a scoundrel, a hunter. You, prince. That's what they call you. What do you call yourself? Mostly in the sand. Sometimes clever. Well, that must have been a really clever suggestion. The prince smiled and Krella left. But they met again and again. Sometimes one meeting was enough, they said. And once Doran didn't feel like he needed anything more, finally it happened one morning, as usual. Too early, too loud, too busy. Doran sat hunched over, not listening. And then they heard the minister speak hurriedly. Prince? They were gone. King Leontes and Queen Verelda had disappeared without a word, suddenly gone. No one could understand. The nobles worried. The guards shouted. The kingdom shook Prince Doran before the kingdom noticed the empty throne. He might not have cared, but it was no use, do you know? How far-sighted he was? The ceremony involved reactivating the ancient orb. It released certain chemicals into the air to make the fear disappear. To make things easier to control, nothing more. But it had to be done tonight, before the rumors grew. So I touched the magical artifact and everyone stopped panicking. Sure, so yes, activate it. Do what you want. He didn't understand it. He didn't care. He just wanted to go back to sleep. Doran placed his palm on the orb. That's nice. Now, anyone, wake me up when it's over. The kingdom just stopped trying. I haven't seen the students for 2 days. They stopped showing up, no matter how much I wanted to sell them to them. I was tired, but there was one person the mist had not touched. Krelda decided to inspect the king's plan, which Doran had made work. She climbed to the highest attic of the palace, where even the spiders slept. There, dusty and silent. She found a secret. It wasn't just a mist, it was a lunatic. Doran, what did you put there? Doran, Krelda, what are you doing here? And what have I awakened? It was a lunatic. It was created to trap enemies. They deceived you. You must save the kingdom, Krelda, her eyes. You are never lazy. Do it quickly now. It has spread. It began where the king's mission began, not in battle or in prophecy, but in the king's kitchen at snack time. If I didn't find the cheese in 10 seconds, I might rebel. Then she saw a cloth on the floor. Not the king's, not shiny. Just a washcloth in the wrong place. Finally, a hand with low blood pressure, suitable for me. What are you? A very lost match. The author wrote me off here, because he was so stressed. This lazy prince wouldn't go anywhere else. He never ventured beyond his room or found something to eat to find me, or when he was sleeping. Wow, this sword has a bad temper. I'm a prince, you know? Yes, come in, sleeping king. You just became the main character by default. Now stop eating and follow me. I'm your emotional support in everything. If so, I won't skip second breakfast. I can't believe I'm listening to the sword in the kitchen. The heart of Lumming is not a battle, it's a memory. Should have known better. Failure, inadequacy, shame, try harder. Why can't you be like lazy? This is basic. Tired again? Disappointment? We expect more. Burden. This isn't like you. Growing up, useless, lazy. This is what everyone is hearing in their heads. Who calls them that? This is what they call themselves. Lumming is just a mirror, a lost garden of all the pressures that everyone has ever felt and all the conversations they have with themselves. Didn't you call yourself lazy a long time ago? No time, Prince. It's time to cut through the fog. Let's make this fog cry. Find its mother. Stop. It reacts. The more you raise your sword, the thicker the fog becomes. Why isn't your heart bent like others? Why is your color the same? You never encourage people. Well, guess what? Our prince never encourages anything. He's been depressed longer than your curse. Take it. Lumming, ahem, thank you. No one escapes Lumming. Ah. The fog lifts like a nightmare. The kingdom sighs. Ahem, ahem. The lost royal family has been found. They have been held captive by the traitorous lord, who now awaits trial for treason. We have pushed too hard. One stroke is always enough, even though we don't see it. Father thinks you are preparing for a stroke. Father doesn't see that you are tiring a stroke. Father apologizes to a stroke. You have nothing to prove, but you have done it, that you are the best leader this kingdom could have. Well, I have a reputation to uphold. I am a lazy prince. Krelda, she accepts. I will be the ruler from the bedroom. What? Stop it. Prince Doran, You have created the lunch break. It is a revolutionary touch in the productivity of the kingdom. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our story corner. Today we're diving into the tale of a prince who turned laziness into an art form, a strategy, and ultimately a path to greatness. This is the story of the one and only, the legendarily lazy, Prince Doran. Our story begins as a thick fog, both literal and metaphorical, lifts from the kingdom. A collective sigh of relief echoes through the streets. The news spreads like wildfire. The long-lost royal family has been found. They had been held captive by a traitorous lord, a villain whose name will soon be nothing but a footnote in history books as he awaits trial for treason. The kingdom rejoices, but amidst the celebration, a curious conversation unfolds within the castle walls. The king approaches his son, Prince Doran, with a heavy heart. He looks at Doran, who always seems to be resting, reclining, or simply observing from a comfortable distance. "We have pushed you too hard, my son," the king says, his voice filled with a mixture of pride and regret. "Your father thinks you are preparing for a masterstroke, a grand move to save us all? But your father doesn't see that you are tiring yourself with this constant preparation. Your father apologizes. You have nothing to prove to me or to anyone." The king continues, his eyes welling up. "But you have done it anyway. You have proven, without lifting a finger in the way others expect, that you are the best leader this kingdom could ever hope for." Doran, ever the picture of calm, offers a slight, almost lazy smile. "Well," he drawls, adjusting his plush cushions, "I have a reputation to uphold. After all, I am the lazy prince. This wasn't an insult. It was a title Doran wore with pride. He had perfected the art of delegation, of seeing the bigger picture from a state of complete relaxation. While others rushed and stressed, Doran saw the clearest path forward. He didn't need to be on the front lines. He could command the entire board from his seat. A royal advisor, the ever-anxious Krelda, rushes into the room, scrolls of parchment flying. "Your Highness, the council has reached a decision. They have ... They have accepted your proposal." Doran simply nods. "Krelda," she accepts. "Good." He then adds, with a completely straight face, "I will be the ruler." From the bedroom, Krelda's jaw drops. "What, Your Highness? Stop it. You can't be serious." But she knows he is. Doran's bedroom was his command center, a place of quiet contemplation where the kingdom's most brilliant strategies were born. Doran's bedroom was his command center, a place of quiet contemplation where the kingdom's most brilliant strategies were born. The announcement goes out, read by a town crier with a slightly bewildered expression on his face. "By the royal decree of His Highness, Prince Doran, you have created ... the lunch break." The crowd murmurs, confused at first, then a wave of understanding and gratitude washes over them. The crier continues, his voice booming with newfound enthusiasm. "It is a revolutionary touch in the productivity of the kingdom." And it was. Workers who were previously exhausted found new energy. Artisans found fresh inspiration. The entire kingdom became more efficient, happier, and more prosperous, all because their prince understood the power of a good rest. He didn't just save the kingdom from a traitor, he saved his people from burnout. While others saw laziness, Doran saw efficiency. While they saw inaction, he practiced strategic patience. He understood that sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. That true strength isn't about constant effort, but about applying effort at the exact right moment. The story of Prince Doran became a legend, a tale of how a so-called lazy prince outsmarted his enemies, revitalized his kingdom, and became the most beloved ruler in its history. He taught them that working smart was far more effective than just working hard. He showed them that rest isn't a weakness, but a vital component of success. From his comfortable chambers, Prince Doran watched his kingdom flourish. He didn't need a throne made of cold stone. His was made of the softest goose-down pillows. He didn't need a crown of heavy gold. His was a state of peaceful clarity. He had mastered the ultimate paradox, achieving everything by appearing to do nothing. And so, the kingdom entered a golden age, an era of unprecedented peace and productivity, all thanks to the wisdom of their lazy prince. The man who understood that sometimes the best way to move forward is to first take a break. He proved that a leader doesn't need to be the one who works the hardest, but the one who inspires everyone else to work their best. And he did it all without ever missing his afternoon nap. A true hero for our times, wouldn't you agree? Thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful story. What do you think of Prince Doran's methods? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Until next time, stay curious and keep telling stories.